Hello, hello. It's good to see everybody. We'll just let people come in as they come. Why don't you type into the chat what you'd like to learn today? So why are you here? What would you like to know more about? So I can include that in the presentation or make sure I cover some of those aspects. So what would you like to hear today? Maintenance of weight loss, wonderful. So we'll definitely touch upon that. Okay. Anything else? Cravings, okay. Perfect, we will, that's part of it as well. All right, so let's get started. Whoever joins can join. So this isn't going to be a workshop about what foods you should eat or how to exercise or any of that. I'm assuming that you already know some of the steps that you can be taking in order to become healthier. Okay, if not, send me an email afterwards and I can refer you to one of our holistic nutritionists on our team or something if you need guidance in that area. Okay, otherwise, most of us know some of the things that we should already be doing. We just might not be doing it, okay, or doing them. Okay, so we're not talking about weight loss, we're talking about the energetics behind it. What I mean by this, and maintaining a healthy weight. So it's just not about losing weight, it's also about maintaining your weight. So it's not what you're eating, it's what's eating you. That is the whole premise behind this. It's not what you're eating, it's what's eating you. So contained in all your cells of your body is your entire life story, right? The good, the bad, all of it. So your body remembers, well, your subconscious mind remembers, okay? This is because your body is a part of your mind, okay? Again, it's not stored in your conscious mind because your conscious mind has a lot to deal with. It cannot remember every single thing that you've ever had happen to you. So it goes into your subconscious mind. And during the times of trauma and stress, your body goes into the fight, flight, freeze, or fawn response. Okay, so that is the sympathetic nervous system response. Your body literally tries to run away, tries to fight, freezes, or over people please. That's the newest response, fawn response. That's the latest one that's been identified. Your autonomic system goes from that fight or flight, freeze, fawn, to the parasympathetic, away from the parasympathetic, which is your rest and your digest system. So when your body is under stress, it's a sign that it does not feel safe. Okay, and when you're not feeling safe, you literally try and create more room between you and other people. Okay, so you get bigger. When you've gained excess weight, you're literally putting more space between you and somebody else. Okay, like you, the inner you, and somebody else. So in the last 2 years, you know, during our pandemic, and we're still going through that, people's nervous system have been placed on super high alert. And I have honestly never seen so many people gain more than 20 pounds that I have seen in my practice right now. And while some people are successful in losing it, they gain it back when if they have not dealt with the core wounds of not being safe. So safety is an issue, feeling unworthy, or feeling like they're not enough. If you haven't really gone to the root of those 3 things, I'll tell you again. So feeling unworthy, feeling like you're not enough, or not being safe, if you not have done work on it, that's why people gain weight again. Okay? So if you have unprocessed trauma in your body and you're dealing with those core wounds, I'm not safe, I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough, and you throw in the pandemic, how do you think your body's going to respond, right? You will get continuously signals. That's what we've been getting the last 2 years of I'm not safe, it's not safe, they're not safe, everything is unsafe. And so your amygdala goes into this hyper alert to look for everything that is not safe. Okay, throw in the fact that people are working from home and not moving as much. They're right beside their fridge or steps away from it, along with being on the computer all day, right? And then everything compounds upon itself. So when we are in that survival mode, in that fight, flight, freeze, fawn response, this is a trauma response. And in this state, we have the emotions and the thoughts that are different. So when you have a thought, it creates an emotion, and then from the emotion, you take action. So you're going to create different actions if you're in a trauma response versus you're in your regular conscious self, right? It doesn't just affect your weight, it also affects your health, your relationships with others, how you see your outlook on life, a whole bunch of different aspects of your life. So in the survival mode, the amygdala, the oldest part of our brain, gets stuck in this hyper, like it's like a siren, hyper alert state. And it's that scanning of danger. And when it turns on, here's the important part, what happens is the neocortex and the frontal lobes, the areas of the brain get shut down for creativity, memory, reason, logic, and will. So when this danger phase is going on, it turns off creativity, memory, reason, logic, and will. So if you're trying to be on a diet, how would you like your reason, your logic, and your will to go off? Is that going to allow you to stop dealing with cravings or whatever else is going on? You don't have access to that, right? So of course you can't resist your cravings, you can't resist the junk food because memory, reason, logic, creativity, will, all gone. So even if people are say, okay, go for a walk, you have to be in a state where you have access to the thought of go for a walk, put down the chips, right? You can't, and while will is very strong, we start off very strong when we say, okay, I want to lose 20 pounds or whatever. It's not something you can continue to use forever. And that's why people start off really inspired and motivated. And then something happens and their nervous system, stress usually happens, their sympathetic nervous system kicks in, their stress response is activated, and then all the will goes out the window. Okay. So as we move through this conversation, I want you to bring your most aware self here. We're not blaming, there's no judgment. It allows you to see where you are. Some of the information may be new to you, others you've heard before. Just come with the space that I need to know, I want to know the next level of my health or my healing journey. And I'm just looking for the next step. So all you're listening for is the next step, right? So everything that you learned from the past is not relevant in this moment because you're just looking for the next step. Everything from your past has gotten you to where you are now. You need something else to go to the next level, okay? So when we're talking about weight loss, what do we actually want? Put that in the chat. What do you actually want with weight loss or with your weight or maintaining a healthy weight? Why do you want that? Healthy. Okay, good. Anyone else? Okay. For some of us, it might be to feel better about ourselves, right? To feel healthier, could be to look better. We essentially want to be a better version of ourselves, okay? But in order to do this, we need to have different thoughts, actions, and emotions than what got us to where we are now. If the person that we were right now, this version of us was going to get us to where we wanted, we would already be there. So we need to grow, right? Grow, evolve, and change. Yes, be happier. That's right. Makes you feel lighter, impacts mood, all these great things. Okay? So we need to grow into the next version of who we are. Okay? So we need to grow into a version of us that feels safer, feels more worthy, feels enough in the world. right? Remember, we talked about those core wounds so that you can let go of the past and then become who you desire to be. Okay? This is why I need you to be in the conversation with your highest self. Come today, not with the one who puts guilt or shame or fear or worry, doubt, any of that. Come with your best version of yourself that sees the healthier version of you ahead of you. Okay? We need to make decisions not from what we don't want, right? But from what we desire, and whether certain actions, let's even go with food. If you desire to be healthier and you're looking at the bag of chips, will this make eating this take me towards my desire? Probably not. Okay, so it's an easier decision to make. Will this make me healthier? Will this give me more energy? Whatever it is, will exercising give me more energy? Most likely, yes. Well, even in the long run. Okay, so again, we need to work on those core wounds of feeling safe, feeling unworthy, and feeling not enough. And we need to make decisions from what we desire and not from where we are now. Okay? So most people are what we call as long as people versus whatever it takes. So as long as people, I often see that in practice, as long as people can get to their goals, but it's not usually as quickly as somebody that's willing to do whatever it takes. So as long as could mean as long as it doesn't cost too much, as long as it doesn't take too much time, as long as I don't have to exercise, as long as I don't have to give up junk food, as long as it doesn't, like I don't have to stop smoking, all these things, as long as, you know, the appointment isn't at when I take my son to whatever camp. As long as there's a lot of excuses, okay? However, there's another group of people who are willing to do whatever it takes. And those people tend to move along their healing journey. It's not that they have less obstacles or they don't come across things, but they get there fast, doing that. Their desire, their goal is, that is what I want to get to, and I'll do whatever it takes to get there. Okay? And again, there's no judgment. It's just where you are on your journey. And when weight loss becomes, or getting healthy, so weight loss doesn't have to be just about losing weight, but whenever getting healthy is a must for you, like you have to do this, like the time is right now, you'll do whatever it takes to get you there. Okay. So if you know, what's keeping you from making the shift? What's holding you back? If you know for yourself, you can write it in the chat and you'll probably see some of the same responses. Give it a couple minutes. What do you think is holding you back? Commitment, okay. Good. So part of what's holding people back or keeping them from making the shift is that their cells are still holding on to the past version of themselves. Okay, so how is this possible? Again, we talked about this. When you're in a stress or trauma response, your brain releases hormones, so cortisol, adrenaline, stuff like that. Your cells are bathed in it, right? And it sets off certain chemical reactions. When your cells are used to being in a certain state, then they only work with those chemicals, or they feel better when they have those chemicals like adrenaline, right? That's why people drink coffee. And so as long as your body is hooked into some of that, then it'll be really hard to not go down that path whenever you get stressed or you get triggered. Okay. So one of the things that I want to remind you is that your parents gave you the filter, or whoever brought you up gave you the filter with which you see the world, right? That's because prior to age 7, we have no conscious mind. We just have the subconscious mind. The conscious mind starts to develop around 12 years old. So how you learn to think was given to you by somebody else. So you didn't teach yourself how to think. If your parents were worriers, you became a worrier. If you had an anxious parent, you became anxious as a person. If your parents talked about how you looked or made comments about you when you gained or you lost weight, that will become a part of your body and part of a filter of how you see the world. Okay? If you're holding on to anxiety or stress or fear or guilt, I know a lot of cultures, in mine anyway, in the Asian culture, it's shame, guilt, fear, shame, guilt, fear. They're really great at that. But if you're holding on to that, how are you going to achieve the healthiest version of yourself possible? Right? How about holding on to people pleasing, holding on to being a perfectionist? If you want to soar, or if you want to be lighter, as the case may be, you have to let go of everything that's weighing you down. So again, you didn't create how you think. You're a product of how you were raised to think. We also formed some of our false beliefs, otherwise known as limiting beliefs, during periods of trauma. And they don't have to be big events. Trauma can be like a sudden emotional impact, which is like a big trauma, or a little t trauma, where it is something that's said or you heard or you felt over time. So lack of attention, lack of approval, lack of affection, lack of affirmation, some form of neglect and abandonment. And again, this isn't to say your parents are terrible parents because they abandoned you. It could mean simply it's how you reacted to the environment. So your parents might have had to go to work to put food on the table. There's nothing wrong with that, but you took it as a form of neglect and abandonment. And so you created a belief around it. And that's where the false beliefs came in. Right? So, and each person also deals and views trauma differently. So what may be traumatic to one person isn't to another. That's why sometimes if you talk to your siblings, they may have had a completely different experience, even in childhood, as you. It's how your child brain interpreted what happened to you when you were a child. Okay, that's the trauma. So you told it, you've made it mean, you made something mean. I'm not lovable, I'm not worthy, I'm not safe, I'm not good enough. And so everything comes into those, and that hurts. So whenever something reminds you of those three core wounds, I'm not safe, I'm not lovable, I'm not good enough, it triggers you to go down the same pathways, the same chemical pathways as you did before. And so you get hijacked. And so your will, your reason goes out the window, and you were doing great on your diet for 30 days, and then all of a sudden a stressful event happens, it triggered all those core wounds, and kabooey! 6 months later, you're like, oh, I should probably start exercising again. That sound about right? Yeah. So as children, we needed to form and become people that would please our parents. And this is in order to get our needs met. It was something we had to do, right? And we became the way our parents needed us to be because it made them feel safe. It made them feel, as a child, you were like, oh, if I'm a good girl, I don't get yelled at and mom and dad feel safe. Or if I get good grades, this will happen. So you continue to do it in order to please them. Because of course you want to please your parents, right? They're the ones providing for you. But if you've never re-examined any of that, you might still please people. Let's say if they're in power, try and please your boss, try and do things that, other people want you to do because you see them in an authority or power, but not actually feel like you should be doing them. So that's a bit on the fawn response. It's like people pleasers. They will put everybody else's needs ahead of their own. They are hyper vigilant about other people's emotions, except not their own, right? And so let's say we became nice, we became people pleasers. Why? It's in order to stay in connection with our caregivers. But when we're in a state of fear, anxiety, worry, when we're not ourselves, when we're trying to focus on other people and people pleasing, we're not focusing on what we want and what we desire in our life. if your desire is to be healthy and your family, to people please them, they like to go out and drink and eat like a lot of food or whatever, go on cruises and have 5 meals every day. Part of you is going to be like, okay, let's go do all that, right? But if you're trying to go for the healthiest version of you possible, that's going to derail the process. So there also has to be some work done on moving towards your desire. I go, and is this decision making me closer or further away from it? So as we learned all these different behaviors from our caregivers and all these beliefs, remember that we can also unlearn them. It's not a part of who we are. It's just a part of how we were raised, but it doesn't need to be a part of you. The more that you realize what's happening and how you're getting hijacked, the more you'll be able to make different decisions. Right? When people say, you know, you're carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders, you literally are. You're carrying your parents' thoughts. And if you think about it, if their thoughts were given to them by their parents, you're now carrying your ancestors, like your grandparents' thoughts, and then their thoughts before them. So it's a whole generations and ancestral trauma that you're carrying around with you in the thoughts of, I'm not safe, I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough. So no wonder it's hard, right? It is hard. It's not easy always to break through it, but once you see it for what it is, you can decide and make different choices. Okay? That's why it's so difficult for some people to lose weight and keep it off and maintain their body. So the subconscious mind is insidious. So what I mean by that is it thinks that the pattern you have right now is keeping you alive. So your current eating pattern, how you exercise, what you think, what you're doing on a regular basis, it thinks that that's what it's keeping you safe. And it takes about 90 days for like a habit or for your body to go, okay, you know, I've been exercising for 90 days. That's a good amount of time. Keep going, of course, but minimum, right? So the role of the subconscious mind is to keep you alive, to keep you safe, and keep you the same. Alive, keep you safe, and keep you the same. Okay? It's safe because it has a pattern for you right now. It doesn't want you to grow because it does not have a pattern for growth. Right? So you weighing more or you weighing what you are right now, holding on to excess weight, is literally your mind is saying, that's safe. That's safe, because that's the pattern that it knows. It does, the subconscious mind does the pattern that it knows, not the one that you want it to do. Okay, so that's the important distinction. The subconscious mind does the pattern that it already knows, not the one that you keep telling it to do, right? It has to get ingrained in the nervous system before it starts to do the pattern that you want, your new pattern. So if your pattern is wired for being sick, being well will make you feel unsafe. That's why it's so important to work on that, like being safe core wound. If your pattern is wired, let's say for 200 pounds, losing 50 pounds is literally going to feel like you're going to die to your subconscious mind. Think about it. Your subconscious mind is like, holy cow, losing that, like, might as well lose a whole person. Right? That's what your subconscious mind is saying inside your head, because it has no pattern for that. Right? So it's about pattern recognition and creating a new pattern for the subconscious mind. The good thing is you can always create a new pattern because of neuroplasticity. Our mind is able to continuously come up with new ways of thinking, new ways of being, but you has to be rewired and cemented into the nervous system. So remember, when you're going for something new, especially if you're trying to get to a new weight or a healthier weight, it's not, and you don't have something in your reality, there's no pattern for it, then things are going to show up to try and derail your process. Okay? So your subconscious mind says, okay, this new version of Kathy is unknown. And then there's fear, there's doubt, there's worry, it's not safe. So let's try and sabotage it and bring her back to where it's safe, right? And then what happens is once you go back into who you were before, you actually feel worse because now you know, oh, I just sabotaged myself, right? And then the pattern is very cyclical. And you also verify the core wound. See, I told you you couldn't lose the weight and keep it off. See, I told you weren't good enough. This is your subconscious mind, of course, right? See, I told you weren't worthy, right? And then it keeps going in circles. That's why the subconscious mind is insidious. However, you can get out of it. That's the great news, okay? By creating to override the pattern and to make it safe to go for your goal. And the subconscious mind also creates these like distractions so that you won't change. And this is why rewiring the brain and stuff, it takes time, right? And again, it takes about 90 days or so to create a pattern, okay? So the way that we think is how we were programmed to think. That's the key. It's not the truth about who you are, because within you, you know there's a desire to be more healthy. You know there's a desire for you to be at your healthy weight. You know that there's a desire of what you want to do in this world, what you want to accomplish, what you want to give. Like all these things are within you. If your subconscious mind, though, however, is saying you can't lose the weight or everyone else can lose weight except you, then how are you going to lose the weight? You got to dig deep and go for the core wounds. Okay? And rewire that subconscious mind to let go of the past and let go of what's holding you back. Again, if you want to soar or if you want to become lighter, you got to let go of what's weighing you down. And that could be the foods that you eat. Of course, it could be a lack of exercise, but it can also be fear, worry, doubt, shame, people pleasing, trying to be a perfectionist. All these things, your stories about yourself, your negative self-talk, all that needs to go so that you can create. And imagine how light do you think you're going to be if you let go of all of that? Can't you feel it in your body already? Like, wow, if I let go of all the shame, the fear, the guilt, the people pleasing, the negative self-talk, wow, I'm already lighter now, right? It was when I started to do this work and continue to do it that I was able to maintain like a healthy weight. Otherwise, I'd be up and down. And also, obviously when I was pregnant, I was up. But there was yo-yoing until I started working on okay, you're safe. You were born worthy. Nothing has changed. And you are good enough. Right? So we're going to go into some questions because I did leave some time for some questions. But before that, I just want to tell you about an opportunity that I have that I'm actually launching on Monday in case if some of you haven't heard about it. So I'm doing, my course starts on Monday. It's called the Daily Dose of Healing Intensive. And it's for those people who want to go deep and start to reprogram their cells, reprogram their subconscious mind for health, for healing, or for whatever goal it is that you want to go to. I created this course so that people can make quantum leaps if that's what they desire. So let's say someone sees Dr. Marie, because our office is a multidisciplinary clinic, and they get a treatment plan, but they don't see her for another 3 months and they haven't done what she's asked. They're not going to get any further ahead. But if we meet on a daily basis, so you can do this very early with me in the morning, or that's when I record, but I will give you get it sent into your email box around 6 a.m. So you can do it for whatever time that you want. You do this, we're doing daily habits, like Monday to Thursday. It's like an intensive 3-month-long course to rewire your subconscious mind, rewire your cells, reprogram them so that you can get this big quantum leap in going towards whatever goal that you want. Okay? So the sessions aren't long. They're about 15 to 30 minutes each day. You might have homework, whatever. Let me just see. I'm going to pop the course into the chat if anybody is interested, and then we'll talk about some questions. And also because you are joining me today on the workshop, for those who register within the next 24 hours, you can use the code workshop 100 and you get $100 off your first month. So it is, I'll pop all that info in. Yeah, and just because you've made the commitment to being here. All right, so now that that's done, I want to open it up for any questions or any areas where you feel that you may see yourself stuck in terms of your healing or your weight loss journey or whatever it is that you're working on right now. Oh, okay, go ahead, Patrice.
I have to tell myself, I don't know if this is along the right lines, but I have to tell myself multiple times a day, let go, let go. You're not going backwards, you're going forwards. Let go constantly. It's not as bad as it used to be, but it's still, I feel frustrated that I'm always there, you know. There I am back there again. Let go, let go. It's not really easy, but it's a journey, right?
And you're right, it's not always easy to catch yourself.
Yeah.
Right. But you are heading in the right way because you are catching yourself. The awareness is there, right? If you're not aware of it, then you cannot move forward because you don't know what you don't know, right? Once you start knowing, and you know what, another way that you might track it is every time you say let go, you put a little tick and then maybe track it again in another week and count. Hey, maybe you have less check marks and you can see progress.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay. Yeah.
It only looks like you're going backwards or going back there because you don't see your progress. But you might have gone from like 30 times a day to 20 times a day, and then you would have changed. There would be progress.
Yeah. Yeah. Makes sense. Thank you. It's helpful.
Yeah. So a lot of us keep trying. You're not even trying, you're doing. You are rewiring your brain, you are changing it. And
Thank you.
It is important to remember along the way, look back sometimes to see how far you've actually come.
Right? I like that.
So far, a lot of the times we get so focused on the destination, in terms like having a vision for your destination is great, but we also need to go, oh yeah, this is where I used to be, right? Not where I am right now. And so the journey is part of the process, right? And it's not your destination, it is who you become in the process of getting to your destination, right? The destination is just a goal. It's just something so that you can see, but the person you become along the way, like if you worked on, let's say, got rid of the core wounds or worked on them of not being safe or not being loved or whatever it is, what kind of person are you going to be along the way as you're releasing that? Right?
Yeah. Much better, hopefully. Yeah. Absolutely.
That is the idea.
Yeah.
All right. Anybody else? Wonderful. Oh, okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I haven't been around for a while, and I guess I feel really disappointed in my journey. I feel like the last 2.5 years of dealing with chronic fatigue is, I'm no further. And everything you're saying, it just feels like you're like, oh, you know, anxiety, the feeling not worthy, everything is a check mark. And I just feel totally defeated and lost. And I just feel like even not having come to see you because of finances, I feel like I've just gone back to where I was. And I know that you always told me that, you know, it's a journey and it's cyclical. And I probably haven't gone back, but it just feels that way right now. So I just needed to say that.
And so with awareness, you never lose awareness, right?
Yeah.
Like it's like riding the bicycle. You don't lose your ability to ride it, even though you haven't gotten on it in a while. You may be rusty, but you don't lose it. So you're never back to where you were if you've gained an awareness. Okay.
Yeah.
But it is your subconscious mind saying, okay, well, why'd you start at all? Right? Like, let's just give up, because right now it knows that the current program that you have is it's safe right here with all this stuff. Right? Like, and we ask ourselves, like, from our conscious mind, how can this possibly be safe? But it is what you know right now. Right? And so it's going to tell you, no, you don't want to start doing that. No, you don't want to change it because it's not safe. Right? But then there's going to be another part of you, right?
Yeah.
That's probably like, okay, I know there's more, or I know there's more. I felt better before, so I can get there again, right?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
as that part grows and the awareness grows, you'll be able to make a shift.
Right. So this course,
Yep.
is it for like people who feel they're beginning over as well, or is it for people that have been seeing you? Okay.
Absolutely. You decide on your goal or what your desire is at the beginning of the course, and then gear each of the lessons towards what it is that you want to achieve in, let's say, in the 3 months.
Okay.
Okay. So you choose what you want to work on. I won't tell you that. Everyone's in a different part of their journey. And so they get to choose, but it's just guidance every day. And I noticed when I worked with the coach every single day, that is where the quantum leaps came, because they were yelling at me like I yell on a daily basis, but not really. Just, you can't go as far down if you're doing it every day, right? That's it. You just don't make the big falls, or you do fall and you do get yourself down, but it lasts a minute, it lasts 30 seconds and not the entire day, because the next day you have something else to work on. Right? Anyone else? Okay. Hey, Kathy.
Oh.
I think you might be on mute because I can't. Still not hearing you. Do you want to type your question in? Okay, that's okay. You can ask me when you see me. Yeah, go ahead.
It's a sharing thing, and at the end of the day I'll have to center and decide, but it feels some days as I've always had the overachieving, want to accomplish everything, please everybody personality, and some days it feels like I'm bringing that into the healing journey, because I do a lot of practices on my own every day already, and then I keep bringing in like new things, and it's based on fear. I realized that from today when you were talking, just that, oh, if I don't do this one as well, then I won't heal. If I do, you know what I mean? So it's thank you for that awareness, because it's a huge pattern to break. We'll see what happens.
For sure. So there is a different, your inner voice speaks to you differently when it's speaking in, when there's fear versus like your desire. Okay. So one is going to pull you forward. One's going to be like, okay, like go to this place. It leads you, right? Go to do this, do that. The other one, when you feel it in your body, it resonates at a different frequency, right? Fear and desire are completely different, right? So it'll be like, stop, don't do that. Oh, what if this happens? Oh, what if that happens? So you have to figure out which one is talking to you, right? So when you decide whether you do a course or not, you have to be in alignment with yourself first before making the decision, right? Like a rocket ship. If it's not in 100% alignment, or even an airplane, it doesn't take off. But it doesn't also judge itself for not being worthy, not being good enough, not being all of that. It just says, okay, I'm not in alignment, I am not going to take off. Right? So when you make your decisions, ask yourself first, am I aligned? And when you come from an aligned place, you will know whether it's your inner voice calling you to do something, or if you're doing it because you're scared of something.
Yeah, some days it's like you have to do this one and that one and that one and that one. And if you don't do them all, then you're not gonna achieve what you want. So thank you. Yeah, we'll see. Maybe I'll see you on Monday. I don't know yet. I'll have to make
You're gonna have to make that decision if it's aligned for you, okay? And if it's not, then we're gonna have to get you in alignment.
well, that's the thing. It's either like it's maybe I'll decide to do this one and drop something else.
Yeah, so don't do everything all at the
But
same
just
time.
I'm thankful because I just realized the fact that I've been trying to do everything.
Yes,
And it's not out of alignment, it's more out of fear than anything.
perfect. And just take a look, list all your current practices and see which ones are still serving you or in alignment and which ones you can do late. Like you might do, a certain meditation every day, but you don't have to do 20 of them, right? Which ones are working for you now? Because you can always go back. They're all tools that you know. You can always go back to them later when they're serving you better or when it's the right time, right? They're tools. So you pull them out when it's needed. When you need the wrench, you use the wrench. When you need the hammer, you use the hammer. You don't have to use your entire toolbox at the same time.
Yeah.
It's way too long in the day.
Yeah, that's it.
Anybody else?
Try again.
Oh, yay, you're back.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh,
absolutely.
perfect. Okay, anyway, I just want to say thank you because to me, awareness is powerful. And like the information you're giving here, like that I learned, I wasn't even aware of this stuff being in the cells, I guess. And maybe you and I've discussed it and I've just forgot. I don't know. I just kind of had an aha moment when you said that. Like who would have thought? Anyways, yeah, just thank you. It's great because to me, awareness is power. Like because you can do something about it. You're right.
Absolutely.
You don't know what you don't know.
You don't know what you don't know. And again, there's no judgment on that. You just
No.
don't know it. And now you
Yeah.
do. And so now that you do,
Yeah. So I have a question about the course. So is
sure.
is it an ongoing thing that you will have continually?
well, we're doing it for 3 months right now because that is what it takes to cement something into your nervous system.
Okay.
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 Whether I run it again or not, it depends how much fun we have. Because fun is one of the values that I like to have.
Yeah.
And whatever else is going on in,
So it's interesting.
So right now, I don't know.
Okay. So the 90 days,
Yeah.
I get that. I had a hypnotherapy session done one time, it was like many years ago. And for them, they refer to things as 21 days to change a pattern. Have you heard that or?
Yeah, that's a great start for a habit,
Okay.
right? However, I find let's say in 90 days, something will happen in your life that causes you stress that derails you, or you
Yeah.
might even go on vacation for a week or two and then you're completely off target, right?
Right.
In
right.
3 weeks, yes, you can make a pattern, you can get up every day, but there's not enough things that life will throw at you, usually in a 3-week period, that you
Okay.
want to overcome, right? So we want to have, this is going to be bad, but we want to have obstacles
Right.
to build your resilience. And
Yeah.
in a 90 period, something somewhere is going to happen
Okay.
that causes you some sort of stress, right? Like
Right.
almost guaranteed in a period of 3 months, something will cause you stress. In a period of 3 weeks, maybe, maybe not.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Right?
Now I understand. Yeah. Okay. That's great.
Yeah. So we want to do the resilience piece, right? And really build the muscles for moving through whatever your challenge is, because you want to be able to have the muscle. And then after
Yeah.
like 90 days of doing something, yeah, it's in your nervous system and you can go back to it whenever you want.
Right. Okay. And so these sessions, so you're recording them?
Yeah.
And so it's a replay. So this is not a live event each day kind of thing.
Well, I'm recording them at 5 in the morning,
Yeah.
very early. And it's just because that's my best time of the day. Like,
Oh, yeah, I get
for
that.
me.
But what if we have questions?
So you're part of a Facebook group And so you can ask any
Okay.
questions within the group,
Okay,
okay? And then
Yeah.
also send them to me and I'll address them as well,
okay.
okay?
I
But I'm
thought-
putting
yeah,
everybody in community with each other because there's also part of a community aspect of going
Yeah.
through something together,
Yeah.
okay? So I
yeah,
am gonna do that.
I forgot about the Facebook group. Thanks.
Yeah,
that's
so you
great.
can ask any questions there, be in community with whoever is there in that
Okay.
moment. And then, so I know there's gonna be only one or two that are joining at 5 in the morning, and that is okay. And you can also watch it whenever you want, because some people are nighthawks, and I completely understand that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
Thanks. Yeah, thanks.
perfect. So thank you, everybody.